What's up, squad? Brandon from the Bantu Sun. Thank you so much for joining me today. So, if you haven't saw the breaking news, Yevgeny Prigozhin, the infamous head of the Wagner Group, the military contractor that has so much success in Ukraine on behalf of the Russians, well, it appears that Mr. Prigozhin is being assumed deceased at this point. He was on the flight logs of a jet that was shot down earlier in Russia. Now, I'm not one to assume things, usually because I'm usually wrong when it comes to assumptions. So I think I want to wait for something a little bit more concrete than a flight log. But this is breaking news nonetheless, extremely interesting nonetheless. For those that don't know, Prigozhin had a pseudo coup at the Rostov on Don, and the coup was basically subdued, and he was given, it was brokered by a peace by Belarus, and Wagner Group was invited to go to Belarus. Now, everybody's pointing fingers that they think this is an assassination by the head of state of Russia, Vladimir President Putin. I don't. I mean, really, this isn't coy at all. Like Putin might as well just kicked in the door himself and let loose if it was going to be an assassination attempt on his end to the because this is absolutely blatant. Of course, there's nobody or the vast majority of people right now are pointing fingers at Putin. So who's responsible? Who knows? But what I do find interesting now is that Prigozhin represented the interest. What I always say this is all about the oligarchs and the power of Game of Thrones that's going on at the top. And Prigozhin represented a group of oligarchs. This is why when they had Wagner Group PWC had the attempted coup, that it was basically negotiated ceasefire on behalf of Belarus because they could have just as easily, they didn't persecute Prigozhin, they didn't send him to trial. What did they do? They offer him refugee or exile into Belarus. And I think that is because Prigozhin represented a power interest. And they're not necessarily going to sit idly by while Prigozhin was going to be detained, maybe put on trial, etc. So this is kind of a sly move to try to take him out the game, nonetheless. But it's definitely the what's going to happen on the back end that I think is going to be concerning or interesting, however you want to bucket that. Like I said, nobody knows who's responsible for this. It's plenty of assumptions, and I'm not going to get into that bucket of worms. But you have Wagner Group. So who's going to take Wagner Group over? What's going to be Wagner Group future role, if any? Is this going to be the straw that breaks the camel back for the Wagner Group? Or are they going to come back in a different form? That's one question. Another question is going to be Game of Thrones in Russia now, because as I said, I think Prigozhin represented the interest group. I think the West's main aim with a lot of things that they're doing, especially in Ukraine, is for regime change. I think Putin right now is fighting to maintain his control of power and his interest group and his allies. And there may be detractors that may have sided with the Wagner group, maybe don't like the way, to the left and the right of Putin. It may be some people in Russia that are high up with big pool that say, hey, we need to make peace with the West. Let's get into the fold and let's get on the same page with the West. It may also be people to the right of Putin that say, Putin's been too soft with the West and they need to go level 10 and escalate to a no holds bar, full scale war in Ukraine and get this sucker over with. So who knows what demons Putin is fighting inside Russia right now? But this is definitely monumental information. So I love to hear what you guys think is going on inside of Russia right now. Please comment below, like, share, subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And until next time, take care. Bantu up.